Hi everyone, welcome to the Piano Keys. I'm so glad that you're here. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you about sharps and flats, the rules that are related to them, how to read them, how to play them, all that stuff. In this video, I'm sharing with you a couple of lessons from my Piano Bootcamp courses. So this clip coming up is from Piano Bootcamp 1, and it will take you through the keyboard and explain what are sharps, what are flats, how do we find them, how do we name them, and so on. So keep watching if you want to learn about sharps and flats. Remember that we use the first 7 letters of the English alphabet to name the white keys. So what's left over for the black keys? Well, when we name the black keys, we use the same letters, but we add a modifier to them. Those modifiers are called sharps and flats. A sharp looks kind of like a hashtag, and a flat looks kind of like a distorted letter B. Here's F, and here's G. Well, we've used F and we've used G. So, for this guy, we can either call it an F sharp, meaning it's the note directly to the right of F, F sharp. Or we can call it a G something. Here's G. This is G flat because it's directly to the left of G. G, G flat, F sharp. So how do we decide which one to call it? Do we call it G flat or do we call it F sharp? Well, if you're just naming notes out of context, you can call them whatever you want. You can call it an F sharp or you can call it a G flat, and they will both be correct. But if we're talking about the note as part of a piece of music or as part of a chord, then there are certain rules to follow as to what you can call it. Just like we have rules for spelling in language, like English or Spanish or whatever, we also have rules of spelling in music. So for now, let's just get comfortable naming the black keys. Remember, when you name a black key to the right of a white key, you call it the name of that white key plus a sharp. If you name a black key to the left of a white key, you call it that white key name plus flat. Okay, so here's good old middle C. If I go to the right, that's C sharp. Here's D. If I go to the right, that's D sharp. Here's F. Going to the right, F sharp, and so on. So go through your keyboard, find a white key, and go directly to the right and name that sharp. So now let's talk about flats. Here's a D, going to the left, D flat. Here's E, going to the left, E flat. So remember, left is also down. So the flat is the next note down from the white key. Here's G, go down one note, G flat. Find all the flats on your piano and name them. When you're writing a note, the sharp goes to the left of the note because we want to see it before we get to play the note. But when we're writing in letters like the letter F and then sharp, because we read left to right in English, we want to write the letter first and then a sharp. If you wrote the sharp first, you would call it sharp F, but that would be wrong. So it's F sharp. Remember, the sharp goes before the note when you're writing in music notation, and it goes after the letter if you're writing in English. The center part of the sharp needs to be on the same line or the same space as the note it belongs to. And the flat has the same rules. When you're writing music notation, the flat comes to the left of the note, so you see it before you play the note. And if you're writing in English, you write the name of the note and then the flat symbol. And that center part of the flat symbol, that little bubbly part, has to go on the same line or the same space on the staff as the note. So right about now, you might be under the impression that sharps and flats are always black keys, but you would be wrong. We can have white sharps and white flats. How? Well, it's very simple. So let's talk about sharps. Remember that we said a sharp is directly to the right of a key. Well, what if I start on B and I go directly to the right? I come to a white key. We call that C. But we can also call it B sharp. I know that's really weird. Everybody has a hard time with that at first, but it grows on you. So here's B, here's B sharp, otherwise known as C. There's another white key sharp. Here's E, here's E sharp, also known as F. Okay, so can we have white key flats? Yes, absolutely. Here's C. If I go to the left, there's C flat, also known as B. Here's F. Go to the left, F flat, also known as E. Okay, so you might be saying, why in the world would I call this F flat and this B sharp if I can just call them E and C? Again, for spelling reasons, which we won't get into right now. Just know that that is possible. Sharps and flats are usually black keys, but not always.
So that was from Piano Bootcamp 1. In the next clip from Piano Bootcamp 2, I go into more detail, basically on a higher level of understanding about sharps and flats, and I also lead you through an exercise where we read the sheet music with sharps and flats and we play together. So this is what I actually do in all of my courses. I don't tell you what to do. I explain stuff and then we do it together. Every single exercise and lesson in all of my courses I do with you, because it's really hard if you're not sure how to practice. It's really hard to take the information that's given to you, and then when someone says, okay, now go practice, and you're not really sure how to practice. You think maybe practicing means playing over and over until you get it right. That's not what practicing means. There are different ways of practicing. So that's what I do in all my courses. So keep watching for this next clip where we go through an exercise on reading and playing sharps and flats, even if you're not sure how to read music. I promise you'll learn something. Let's do a very quick review of sharps and flats. Here's an F. If I go to the note directly to the right of F, it's a black key, and I can call it F sharp. Here's a C. If I go to the note directly to the right of C, it's also a black key, and I can call it C sharp. Remember that white keys can also be called sharp. For example, here's a B. If I go to the key directly to the right of B, I get to a white key, which we normally call C. But if I wanted to, I could also call it a B sharp. Why would I want to call a C a B sharp? It seems to make things a lot more complicated than they need to be, right? Well, yes and no. It's true that calling a C by its other name, B sharp, seems weird when you could just call it a C. But as we'll learn in a later Piano Bootcamp course, sometimes we don't have a choice, and we must call that note a B sharp. And the reason for that is because of rules that are the musical equivalents of spelling a word in English. For example, here's the word sight, S-I-G-H-T. Its meaning relates to vision, but I can spell the same word like this, sight, S-I-T-E. And now I'm talking about a location. Or even cite, C-I-T-E, which relates to quoting a source. Cite, cite, cite. They sound exactly the same, but they have different meanings And those different meanings are indicated by how we spell the word. So we complicate the spelling in order to more effectively communicate a thought. And in music, when we spell this note, C, when we spell it as a B sharp, it's kind of the same thing. The notes sound the same. C, B sharp. But depending on how we spell them, they have a different function or a different meaning in music theory. We'll learn about these functions in a future bootcamp course, again, because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. You can be sure that the information I do give you is accurate and correct. Sometimes it's incomplete. Again, similar to learning the basics of math, mastering those, getting very comfortable before you get more information in the way of calculus. So we're doing the same thing here. We'll practice each level of knowledge until you feel very comfortable, and then we'll advance to more complicated matters. But as I mentioned in the first piano boot camp, everything that you learn in these courses is knowledge that you'll build upon layer by layer. We use it all. So there's no point skipping ahead to the important stuff because it's all important stuff. Let's do a quick review of flats. Here's a G. I go to the left and I get to a black key. We can call that G flat. Here's a D. I go to the left one key and again I get to a black key and we can call that D flat. And just like we saw in sharps, not all flats are black keys. For example, here's an F. If I go to the left, I get to a white key, and we know that we can call that note E. But we also know that another name for E is F flat. And again, we would spell it F flat for the same reason that I just explained, because it would serve a different function in music theory. Okay, now that we've had that review, it's time for some new information. I'll play a short piece for you, and then I'll ask you questions about how I played it. Now, this piece is not a beautiful piece of music, I'll admit that, but it does get the information across in a pretty direct way. Okay, like I said, it's not a great piece of writing, but let's discuss it. So, as you can see, I start with G, then I see an F with a sharp in front of it, so naturally I'll play it F sharp, and E. Now, here's where I want you to pay attention. You see that the next note written is F, but I'm playing it F sharp, even though there's no sharp in front of that particular note. And I'm doing that because I know the rule about sharps and flats, and here's the rule. If a certain note, for example an F, has an accidental in front of it, a sharp or a flat, that accidental lasts for the entire measure. So any other note that is the same pitch, in this case an F, that comes in the same measure following this F will share the sharp that was previously on the F. So the sharp, in other words, lasts for the entire measure. Or the flat, it's the same thing for any accidental. So I play G, F sharp, E, and then F sharp, because I know the rule. Now, the bar line cancels any accidentals that happen, any sharps or flats. So now I'm going to start fresh, G, there is no F sharp, so I just play a regular F, and then E, F. E, here's a D sharp, I'll play D sharp, E, F, E, C, D. Taking a look at the left hand, I start with a G, and here I see an E with a flat before it. That means I play E flat, and right after that I have another E with no flat in front of it, but I know that the rule is the flat lasts for the whole measure. So I play that note also, E flat, then D. Because the bar line cancels that E flat and I want to play E flat again in the next bar, I have to make a flat in front of this next E. E flat, C, D. Here I play E flat because the flat lasts for the entire measure. Then F, and no longer E flat because we had a bar line and it canceled the flat. E, D, E, G, E, C. So the rule is simple, but the complication comes when you try to explain it. So I'll play it from the beginning, and I want you to follow along, and I'll say the note names, and then I want you to play it with me. So I'll play it twice through. Okay. G, F sharp, E, F sharp. G, F, E, F. E, D sharp, E, F, E, C, D. G, E flat, D. E flat, C, D, E flat, F, E, D, E, G, E, C. Now let's play that together. I'll count to 4 before we start, and I'll go really slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Say the note names. G, F sharp, E, F sharp, G, F, E, F, E, D sharp, E, F, E, C, D. Now left hand. G, E flat again, D. E flat, C, D, E flat, F, E, D, E, G, E, C. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're interested in learning about the rules of music in a really fun way, check out my piano bootcamp courses and instant piano. A lot of people have taken these courses and have told me that they never thought they'd be able to read music. They thought they weren't interested. But once you start really learning how music is put together, it actually becomes more fun to play, and you don't really have to rely on other people showing you what to do. You've got all the freedom to pick up music and learn it. You can find all of these courses on my website, thepianokeys.com. Join my Facebook group, Piano Practice Tips, for a very supportive group of other pianists who are on the journey with you, and I'm there too, and I answer questions, and if people put up videos and ask me for help, I'm there. I also post to Instagram, not so often, but sometimes, the Piano Keys TPK. Keep practicing, have fun, and I will see you soon. Bye.